Hey you guys, this is Susan reporting here from home. I want to talk about apricot seeds and Jason Vale. I want to talk about our media and about the injustices. First of all, when God puts something in you to research, do. When God puts something in you to study, do. I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to pause. Before Alexander was taken by DHR, he was being picked on at school. In spite of being a straight A student, I was getting complaints from the first grade teacher. This was strategically done before he entered, of course, in second grade, they do a testing to see where the kids are at, if they're gifted or whatever. First of all, I think all kids are gifted. All of them. They all have different gifts. So I think that doing this to see if the kids are gifted, it's the wrong way of approaching and testing children, because all children are gifted. All children love to learn, but there is a right teacher for the right student and a right student for the right teacher. And I immediately began to see a difference between kindergarten and first grade. The kindergarten teacher was seasoned. She was an experienced teacher, had been teaching for 20-something years. Nobody could tell her how to run her program. I mean, she has laws and regulations that she's following, but she also knows. Okay, now the first grade teacher was a brand new teacher. She had only had 1 year on her own prior to my son being her student, and she was targeting my son. From the first week, I noticed I was getting calls to come and see her and the vice principal. Now the vice principal, I told them both. I said, well, I would like to speak to the principal. They were like, well, there's a I guess a step that you're supposed to go through. And I said, well, I want to switch my son to another class because my son didn't have these issues last year and he was homeschooled prior to that. So I immediately began to see a pattern because they were writing tickets. The teacher was writing tickets for any petty stuff. I was told that I needed to sign the tickets and that after 3 tickets my son would get in-school suspension. All of this while he was still a straight A student. The teacher was complaining because Alexander was fidgety, that he was social, that he was fidgety and social. So I was basically told to consider putting my son on medication. And I was like, my son does not need to be on medication. I understand my son is fidgety. I understand that my son is social, but he's also advanced, so maybe he's not being challenged. So I really was fine homeschooling my son. I knew that eventually he would have to go to school because I had to go to work. But other than that, I would be homeschooling my son. Ironically, during all of this COVID and whatever, my son's being homeschooled. So all of these things are strategically timed, people. We are all being watched at all times, and when they have their eye on you, they have their eye on you. With Jason Vale, he's being arrested. His mom has been arrested for selling these seeds when these seeds are for sale on other websites. They're on sale through Amazon. You can buy them through Amazon. So this whole arrest of this guy, they're making it sound like Jason Vale and his mom were over profiting. They're making it sound like these people were con artists, that they were making an extreme amount of money for selling something that is potentially good for you, when you can see these people live in a modest home. They're not living in a mansion. They're not traveling the world lavishly like some of these other people. A lot of pastors live lavishly, live in expensive homes, and travel quite a bit, and live in luxury. People who make a profit out of talking about from the Word of God. These people live in an average home, and our government went into that person's home, private home, and looked through their stuff, and now going out there in public media stating that they found this dangerous liquid. Okay, if you go into anybody's home, you're going to find dangerous liquids that are for cleaning things. Everything is potentially dangerous. Bleach, ammonia. You know, they're making it sound like these people were con artists and just write down dangerous people. And that's not what Jason Vale and his mom are all about. They were selling seeds because they wanted to help others, because it helped him overcome his cancer. Apricot seeds are being sold through Amazon and other websites. So this guy was strategically targeted because he was making a claim that these are anti-cancer seeds. How many times do we not have people claiming to be something they're not? All of these dating websites, you're going to have the majority of people putting pictures there that are their most appealing angle. They're not going to put their most unappealing angle on these dating websites. So are these people doing something illegal because they're claiming to be something they're not? This is ridiculous. Okay, first of all, I have never been on a dating website. It is all about the lighting. Okay? You do this, it's bright. I've never touched up any of my photos. That doesn't give you the right to invade the privacy of my home to see what I look like without makeup or naked, or what my home looks like. That gives you no right, because I'm not going out there advertising. Yet you have done that. You have invaded my home, and you have put me out there like a mockery, like I am a deceitful person, that I shall have no right to be talking about God, and I have no right to be talking about health and nutrition, because I am not the world's healthiest person. I'm not. I've never claimed to be. So, this is medium lighting. Now you see more flaws. I do not alter the lighting. When I lived in my apartment and I put out all of those videos since Alexander was taken, I never altered the photos. I've never altered any of my photos of me or my child or my children. I've never altered any of our photos or the lighting, the natural lighting that was coming into the apartment. Now this is artificial lighting here that I need because of the situation. But I just want to put it out there. I am angry at you people because you believe everything that you hear from the regular media. Some of these naturopathic doctors and people that are coming out saying that they have healed their body naturally are being mocked. When they're being interviewed by these interviewers, the whole thing is very biased. They're coming with a purpose to ridicule you when they interview you. Okay, if you listen to the interview of Jason Vale, the person interviewing him was basically there for a purpose. Now these people going into this man's home and his mom's home after they've been imprisoned, you know, they're going in there in this average American home. It's a humble home. It's not anything extravagant. They're going in there, going through their personal stuff and keeping them from making a living when Amazon and these other websites are making a living, because he's claiming that these seeds are anti-cancer. How many times has the FDA approved medication that is being sold and marketed as anti-depression, anti-cancer, anti-obesity, whatever they call it. And then it turns around that people die. And then you have the attorneys filing a suit against the people who manufacture the medication. So who's making money here? The pharmaceutical companies are making money off of all of these patients because their insurance companies may or may not cover that, which oftentimes they do. So the insurance companies are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. The doctors are making money from prescribing this stuff. The attorneys come and file suit against they're making money and people are dying. And this is all legal. So when Alexander was being picked on in first grade, I asked the principal, I said, let us test Alexander. Alexander tested higher for reading comprehension, and I said, I told you. I said, he was at a higher level. I said, why don't we just put him in second grade? And they were like, well, because of his age. And they said that he was not mature enough for second grade. So what they were doing is they were having Alexander go from first grade class stuck with that same teacher that was picking on him, pulling him out of his first grade, still stuck with that teacher who did not like my son, making it a living hell, pulling him out to go to second grade class for a couple of hours or an hour or whatever. The principal told me, oh, Alexander is going to have to learn to walk from one room to another, and he has to go outside of the building. He's going to be by himself, walking by himself from point A to point B. He's going to be going outside of the building. I said, well, I want my son escorted. I don't feel comfortable my son walking because sometimes kids go missing in this to and from. So they were like telling me, well, Alexander needs to learn responsibility. Alexander needs to learn to walk from point A to point B by himself outside of the building. I was like, these BITCHs, making it a living hell for us. Every time I spoke about anything that was controversial, Andy would say to me, be quiet, because he knew we were being heard at all times. So you tell me, what kind of America are we living in? That we have people invading your home and you cannot even voice your opinion in what you think is the privacy of your own home. You tell me what kind of America that is when we let everybody and their brother in here, legally and illegally. People invading your home. I want to know, what is the point of national security if we're not going to be protecting the privacy of our American citizens? I am a legal American citizen. I have served in the military. I was honorably discharged with a good conduct medal. I was never in trouble with the law before or after serving the military. They made it a living hell when I brought up taking the smoke outside of the restaurant business. They made it a living hell when I was talking about replacing the artificial colors and flavors of the food with natural sources. They made it a living hell because I was concerned about the quality of the food, not only that we ate, but that our children ate. When I wrote a friendly letter to my son Jacob's, now my son Jacob is 21, but when this has been long coming with the public school, this is not anything new. When I brought up to the public school system in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, to consider having a healthy buffet for the children, because my son Jacob was telling me that he was eating Frito pies, frozen pizza, broccoli that looked like brown, and it's disgusting. This was happening. Jacob is 21 going on 22 now, but this happened. They did not like me in the public school system because I wrote a friendly letter to please consider having a healthy buffet in the schools. I have it all documented. I wrote a letter. I did not want to see them in person because I know they're busy. I just wrote a letter and I was like, would you please consider? And also reading from the Bible, because reading from the Bible was illegal in the public school system down here in the South. So I did some research, and in California it was legal. So I was like, well, I mean, because we have it on our currency that in God we trust. All of these things have been happening and people don't really know why. I'm not the enemy of the state. I'm not the enemy of our government. I'm not the enemy of the military. I'm not anti-government or anti-military. I have never been out there looking for a husband or a boyfriend or in any kind of website. If anybody wants to be with me, they have to come and get me. I don't discriminate, but I'm not the biblical whore. And I have my own brain. I should be able to sustain myself. I should be able to have my own business. This is why I wanted to have a restaurant with the smoke outside and have like a training facility with a master menu with 12 sub-menus. So that people that came through as a trainee or as an employee could learn what they need to learn and move on, not burning anybody's bridges. Because what has been happening here in America is that if you don't want somebody to prosper, you can say they stole from you, you can say that they're not a good worker, you can give them a bad recommendation so that they won't be able to get a job with somebody else. That's called burning the bridges, and that has happened, and that will continue to happen unless we say, you know what, if somebody didn't work out with you, with your company, or they didn't believe in your company's, philosophy or the way you conduct business, that gives you no right to burn that person's bridges. Let them move up and out. Let them find their way. But here in America, we have had that problem. Okay, so back to Jason Vale and his mom. They were selling apricot seeds, making a decent living. They were not living in a mansion. They were not traveling lavishly. The money that he was making from these seeds probably wasn't very much because he had to pay people to package this stuff. Okay? He was an arm wrestling champion, so I'm sure he was making money off of that. He was living with his mom, so he wasn't a wealthy man. He was just like, living with his mom because his mom had always been there for him through his cancer. Handsome man, beautiful. So when this man was being interviewed by this witchy lady who had already an agenda to ridicule this man, I don't even understand. If somebody were to come up to me like that, I would just cut the interview right then and there and say, look, you can walk out. I don't want to be interviewed by you. I'll put my own video out from my perspective. I don't need your opinion. That's what I would have said. But you know what? He continued with the interview and his heart was out. His heart was out. And you could see it in his face, that just sadness that this woman would do that to him. To come to his house to provide an interview, and really what she wanted to do was ridicule him. That's not good interviewing. When you're a journalist, you're supposed to be neutral. You're supposed to be conducting your interviews in a neutral manner. Not go there with your feelings and messing that up. That's what I think. From what I understand, journalism should be like that. Now, if I come and give my opinion about something, that's me giving my opinion about something. But if I were to interview somebody, I shouldn't make it impossible for that person to put their point of view out there. That's not proper interviewing. So this lady went into this man's home, disrespected him in his home, and you could see his heart out. Now, how many times do we not buy products that claim to be something they don't do? Okay? It could be a barrette. Oh, this barrette will hold your thick hair or thin hair or whatever it is. This shampoo will make your hair thicker. This shampoo will keep you from getting frizzy hair. This lotion will keep your face looking beautiful. It will keep it from wrinkling. It is an anti-aging or whatever it is. Every day, everything we consume. So why was this guy targeted? That's the question. People are targeted every day. People's homes are invaded every day. And this has nothing to do with national security. It is called an invasion of privacy. Violation of our human rights. And I believe Jason Vale, if he's still in jail, should be released. And his mother, never, ever, ever again should anybody ever harass them. I don't understand why this man was arrested. The first time or the second time. I don't understand how our government can go into that man's home and claim that they had a dangerous liquid when this liquid and those seeds had nothing to do with each other. And how this can be allowed to go into the public news for people to start gossiping, because people do that. That's the nature of our nature, is to do that. We enjoy when somebody else is in pain. We enjoy when somebody's being dragged down to our level, because that's the nature of human nature, and God knows that. We don't want to help our brother. No. We like it when our brother or our sister is brought down to our level. That's why Jesus was crucified already. Jesus he was made to pick up his cross that he didn't deserve, because he was already healing people. And what did these preachers do? I mean, back then they didn't have cameras that invade the privacy of your home. Back then they didn't have all of the technology. But back then people were so much like today. So when people say, oh, well, that message is old, that doesn't apply to us today. The message of Jesus and in everything that God has to say to us is very much fresh, as it is today, as it was then. Because look at what we've done as a society. Do you think we've made any progress, or have we regressed? Our standard of living has regressed. Our standards have. Just look at our society. Okay? What is wrong is right, and what is right is wrong. Okay? When Jesus walked the earth physically, he was going out there healing people, talking about God. And these priests, or whatever, these preachers were keeping an eye on him, and had all kinds of people, keeping an eye on him. They called him the devil himself. They said, well, he gets his powers from the devil to heal. They were jealous. They were jealous of Jesus, because Jesus was healing through faith, believing that he was the Son of God. That happens today. We are jealous of one another. So we need to look into Jason Vale, not the guy that does the juicing that comes from England. I'm talking about born and raised American Jason Vale and his mom. Listen for ourselves. So if some people got sick, not one person died from these apricot kernels. What these interviewers are doing is making it look like, hey, you're false advertising. You're selling something that is potentially dangerous. He specifically tells people, start with one, then work your way up, and to a tolerance, just like retin-A. You're not going to just go to 1.0 retin-A. You're going to start with 0.25 or whatever it is, the percentage, and the doctor tells you, avoid your mouth and avoid your nose. And, just put it all over. And, sometimes you may have to dilute it. Then after so many months, an evaluation will work you up to the, to the twice as much, and then eventually you'll go to the 1%. That's what they tell you, don't they? And then if you get sunburned or scarred or something happens to you, your face becomes whatever, they're not going to take responsibility, because they specifically told you avoid this area and avoid that area, and still it has side effects. Don't go out in the sun, wear a hat, wear sunblock, whatever. So people who take these natural supplements, they should do their own research. They should be held accountable and responsible for their own decisions that they're making. If they're choosing to buy something that they know has side effects, then don't be stupid and take a whole handful right off the bat and then go, oh, I got sick, I got vertigo, and whatever. Oh, boo-hoo. What good does it do to humanity for that man and his mom to be sitting in jail or have been arrested? What good does it do? What good does it do to basically steal money from these people through a what do they call it, bail money? That's stealing these people's money that they have worked hard. These seeds are being sold through Amazon. They're being sold through other websites, advertised as organic and certified organic. Okay. So, going back to health and nutrition, here in America, there has been a lot of hypocrisy with that. I'm sick of it. You know that when Alexander was taken, this lady that I had never seen in DHR and haven't seen her since, she only came through and was an attorney at DHR. These attorneys get switched around all the time. This lady was pointing out to the judge that I use naturopathic eye drops. And I'm just like, what the heck does me using naturopathic eye drops that they sell at Walmart, by the way? You can buy these at Walmart. And even if I were to buy them through Amazon or a health food website or the health food store, Virginia's Health Foods in Mobile, that's none of her damn business. That is my right to buy whatever I need for my health. So, I don't know if this lady is from another, company that sells eye drops. I don't know who these people are coming through DHR. I remember when Alexander was taken from me, it was based on allegations that I was potentially suicidal. Then, when they were supposed to return Alexander to me, I was told that they were going to do a psychological evaluation on Alexander after I had already had my psychological evaluation, and they would not give me the psychological evaluation results. because the guy who did the psychological evaluation, Mr. Jerry Mott, told me that he was no longer business partners with Mr. Dr. Jack Carney. So, I mean, Mobile, I'm ready to talk to y'all right now because this is not fair. This is not right. I did not invite everybody and their brother in my house. My personal life is not a soap opera. Neither is it a joke. I'm a very private person, and if I come out here making a video for you or having a conversation with my son Jacob, is to clarify. Because some people will take part of a conversation and they will twist it and turn it. You know that when we were in grade school in Panama, I attended private school in Panama as a child, private and public, and disliked public school a lot, disliked it. When I was in private school in Panama, the teacher did an exercise. We were like 30-something kids, about 30, more or less. And the teacher told a secret to the first child, whispered in the ear. That child was supposed to pass the secret along and eventually. And the teacher said, before we do this exercise, I just want to tell you that whatever I'm about to say is not what we're going to receive. Whatever I'm about to tell this first child, after it gets passed around, it's going to get added and twisted and it's going to be changed by the time the last person speaks up. That was exactly the case. The teacher told the first child, it went around, and by the time it got out in the open, it was something totally different. We can take anybody's private conversations because everything that we talk on the phone is recorded. What do they say? All phone calls are recorded for quality purposes. Yeah. Okay. So I don't mind people listening to my conversation if it's not going to be for the public. Because I'm not selling drugs. I'm not prostituting. I'm not plotting to kill or hurt anybody. Hello? But if somebody questions my relationship with my son Jacob, like, well, where's your son Jacob now? Do you talk to your son Jacob? All people start to pass the word around amongst them like little monkeys. They're in there, you know, gossiping about somebody else's life. And then they all start asking the same questions around the same time. People that don't know each other, but they're in there communicating because of the technology that we have. Okay? And they all start asking you the same questions. So this is why I've had conversations with Jacob and with Andy. Because I don't want anybody to say anything other than what I'm telling you. When I lived with Andy, that was supposed to be a private home. Not a show. And not for me to be vulnerable to everybody and their brother. Because everybody and their brother is going to have their own opinion about what is right and wrong. And that is their right. But it is not their right to invade the privacy of my home and try to judge me according to their point of view. Because they're not God. I'm not going to have anybody purposely provoke anger so that I seem like I am a volatile, angry, frustrated, what is the word? Oh, Napoleon. Because people will say that. Oh, she's short. She's Hispanic. She's female. She's frustrated because she doesn't have any control. I don't want control over you. I don't want control over anybody. But what I want is to be able to go to the store and buy food that is healthy for me and my children. I want to have those choices, even if I'm not wealthy and cannot afford to go to the health food store to buy expensive organic food. if I have control to make a phone call instead of barging into somebody else's personal life, making it a living hell for them with my technology, gossiping about somebody else's life, I will take time out of my not so busy schedule and say, would you please, thank you and excuse me, but would you please consider taking out the artificial colors and flavors? I'm a mother. I have children. I'm not a doctor. Because I'm a consumer. You know, every single one of these companies will say something really nice. They will say, thank you so much for your feedback. We welcome your feedback. Unfortunately, you know, they might say, at the worst, they might say, unfortunately, right now, you know, we're not welcoming suggestions, unsolicited suggestions, because we have a team, you know, blah, blah, blah. At the worst. But you're not going to get them having DHR pick up your son from school based on allegations that you're potentially suicidal. And then violating your human rights, taking your child without a court order, and then doing everything backward. Taking your kid without a court order, then going to court so that they write a court order based on allegations that they're still investigating. They're investigating you. The nerve. You know, I went to Mobile yesterday. I went to Mobile with a foot soak to give my son a foot massage. And I went to Mobile with all of the implements that I need to give my son a pedicure. Because these are things that I would take care of. Because I'm a mother. Because there's nothing wrong with a mom taking care of her children. My son had his own bathroom, his own implements. I made sure that the tub wasn't dirty. It's not fair to be taking kids away from moms and dads or parents who are the legal guardian of that child and bringing up, oh, well, his dad is in Brazil. Do you know where his dad is? And grinding this stuff up. Oh, where's your other son, Jacob? Who does he live with? Who's raised him? All of this stuff. That's what there's not enough time in my lifetime to tell you all of how I feel. But all I know is that I have proven to you through Facebook, I have proven to you that I have been dealing with this for a long time. Because sometimes when you bring up to the attention of public school system, please consider reading from the Bible. Please consider having healthier meals for the children. Brushing teeth after meals. You know, you become a target. Because it's like, who are you? Who do you think you are? You are not a manager. You cannot call yourself a manager because you've not supervised people. You cannot call yourself a manager. I mean, what kind of balanced cookie at yahoo.com email is that? Are you a baker or something? That's the way I was treated in Mobile. Because what? It followed me. It followed me. They would not let me start fresh. Prove myself in the community. I mean, you've seen pictures. They're not altered. I was not out there modeling, but I looked decent. I had my high heels. I was pregnant. I looked fresh and young and ready to serve, to do something good for the community. And look what they did to me. And I've had to deal with people coming into my home and disrespecting me in my home. Several times. It has never been the desire of my heart to be a politician. It has never been the desire of my heart to be an attorney. Because when you're a politician, these certain groups that support you, they want you to support their cause. Otherwise, you lose their vote. I am not here as a politician. Never have needed your vote. I have just been a mom concerned about my sons too at different times in my life because my children are 11 years apart. They were both desired and planned pregnancies. The first time I became public school enemy because I brought up to the attention of administration to consider reading from the Bible and having healthier meals. And brushing teeth after meals, maybe, I don't know. But when you point out to them that, hey, we can do something better, but you're not an administrator, oh, they'll rub it in your face. I lost custody of Jacob. It was a 5-year divorce. Took 5 years. No divorce takes 5 years. Oh, people were calling me a liar. Lazy because I was not working. I ended up buying my own house with my VA benefits and being asked to move out of my own house that I bought with my VA benefits. I didn't have a job at the time. I couldn't find a job. Because you are bringing up to the attention that we need smoke-free restaurants. So you're blacklisted. So what can you do? But I wasn't selling drugs, nor was I selling sex. But there's a lot of, and excuse me, but this video is going to be for children 12 and up. Or maybe 13 and up. But there's a lot of horny old men out there. I mean, pedophilia is real. I may not have been a child, but just like there's exploitation of children, there's exploitation of women. If women, this and that woman cannot find a job, she's going to have to get herself a sugar daddy. Because that's the mentality down here. So you mean to tell me that my God-given intelligence is not good enough to get a job because I don't have a degree? Because when I was wanting to get my degree, within that 10-year period of being able to utilize my GI Bill in Mississippi, wanting to get the hell out of there and go on to Rhode Island to get my culinary nutrition degree, you made it a living hell for me to get out. It's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime, but you can never leave. Ha ha ha. Kiss my fart, people. So, I worked voluntarily. I read what the 5 Doves of Peace wanted me to read because they came to me, because God gave them to me. God knew that I didn't have any real friends in Mississippi. People backstab you. You're talking to somebody and they'll take part of your conversation and record it, and then it gets twisted because it's part of the conversation. It's not the whole thing. People were coming to me in Mobile, Alabama, telling me that black people are just living off the government, those negros. You know, it's like Hispanic people. It was like every time I had a conversation with a Hispanic person, that's what they would bring up. And I'm just like, I don't trust this technology because for all I know, the computers is you know, absorbing this information, and there's no distinction between who said what or when or why. We cannot be taking things out of context. We cannot be taking the Bible, the words in the Word of God, out of context. You have to know what you're reading, whether it was the Old Testament, the New Testament, which prophet said it, when, to whom, you have to know what you're reading. And you cannot tell me that I don't read very well, that I don't take the time to read, that I don't comprehend because I lack intellect, or maybe my IQ is not high enough. Or maybe because I'm a foreigner that I don't comprehend the language very well. You cannot tell me, because I will highlight it for you. That's my rod. The highlight. That is my double-edged sword. For you, you contradict yourself and you call me a liar. A hypocrite, you call me. When you're the hypocrite, you judge me and I will judge you. Because I can. Because my Father has lifted us up to His light, and we've gone into the right, into His heart. And I'm not going to claim that we've been to outer space. We were lifted up. We had no choice. We were lifted, but I had a choice to bring you with me, and I did, because I was not going to leave my children behind in this earth that's corrupt. I asked my Father for permission, and He said, it's up to you. And I grabbed Mother Earth, and we were lifted up into His right. So we need to consider all of these things that are happening. When a person, a parent, speaks up in the public school system and questions, don't target their child. Don't target the parent to make that parent look like that parent is a troublemaker. I was falsely accused by an administrator in Mississippi of threatening her and many others. She was making it impossible for me to visit with my son during lunch. I have it all documented. You can read my emails for national security. I have nothing to hide and nothing to fear. You can not say that I haven't cooperated. I have been tortured. Again and again. I was in Mobile yesterday ready to see my son, and I was told that because of the hurricane. There was no hurricane. So I came back. And I was asked if I could come back today. I said, well, had I known yesterday that I could go back and see my son today, I would have stayed in Mobile in a motel, paid for by myself with my unemployment. I pay my own $30 bill, phone bill, with my unemployment. I pay my own life storage unit, $120 a month with my unemployment. I cut my own hair. I color my own hair. I cut my own nails. So for you to accuse me of being a fraud, I'm not benefiting from any monies other than unemployment, because I am unemployed. I cannot wear a mask and be working in a hot kitchen environment or going back and forth sweating, because for one, I'm 46 years old. I'm overqualified for that position. I have done it and I enjoyed it, as long as it paid my bills and my apartment. I had my own apartment, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, clean, orderly, and my son was not returned to me because I was not, quote unquote, cooperating. Cooperating with what? I have gotten a psychological evaluation. I was refused a copy of the evaluation because the person who conducted the evaluation was no longer business partners with the psychologist. Then, when my son was supposed to be returned to me, I was told that my son needed a psychological evaluation by somebody who pointed out to the judge that I was using natural eye drops. The judge was lied, and the judge knew that I was not working when I was working, that I was not cooperating with the Millers when I offered Mr. and Mrs. Miller money while I was working at the hotel in downtown, the Battle House Hotel. I was working full time, and they would change my schedule from day to night and night to day and day to night, from day to day. From day to day. So you tell me, what is the point of me not having my son taken away from me so that I can be available for this corporation that changes my schedule from day to night to day to night? Okay, see how that does the brain? Do you think that this is a life? You suck the life out of people. You suck the life and the joy. I enjoyed serving tables. I knew I was overqualified for the position, but I was happy to do it, because it's not everybody who's willing to do that. But not with a mask, because you have less tables with a mask. You get paid less than $3 an hour, plus tips, if they tip. There are people that don't tip. There are people that will leave the bare minimum. There are people that are very generous with their tips, and that makes up for those who don't. That's fine. But if you're going to make less than $3 an hour in 2020, that's pathetic. People need more money. Or we need to figure out how everybody can afford and have a better standard of living. Not everybody wants healthy, but I do, and I want my children to have a better quality of life. See, Jacob should have gone to university. Jacob is very good at reading and writing and history and languages, the Semitic languages. Jacob should have gotten a scholarship. He was picked on by administration, because his mom brought up the Bible and better nutrition in school. I didn't get custody of my Jacob so I could move on and get my culinary nutrition degree and open up my restaurant. Alexander was being picked on the moment he started first grade. Not in kindergarten, because the seasoned teacher, you could not tell her how to run her program. But you have a new teacher, you tell her, look, this is what you need to do, she will do it. Because it has been brought up to my attention, not just by one person, but by a couple people, that as a new teacher, and this is people who have no affiliation, who just happen to be teachers, new teachers, they were disappointed after they got their teaching degree and began teaching, that the teachers were being encouraged to write tickets. Because when these kids get flagged as children, they get flagged and they're not given a fair chance in public school. These are the children that end up getting fed to the jails. So who's making money off of people in jail? Whether they're guilty or not, or for petty crimes like debt. Our nations are in debt. Are our nations going to jail for being in debt? Everybody owes everybody. You know how much the U.S. debt is? Why are we in debt? Because we spend too much money on what? We're not spending our money to better the quality of our citizens. If all nations were to prioritize the quality of life of their citizens like some European countries, then we would see a turnaround. But America has been going downhill, and then every president gets the blame for it. Oh, it's your fault. You're the Antichrist. No, it's been long coming. So who makes these changes? Politicians? Are we going to wait for them to make the changes? We don't know who gets threatened behind closed doors with a gun. We don't know who gets threatened. These people are scared of one another because they do kill each other. J.F. Kennedy was murdered because he was anti-war. His brother Robert Kennedy was murdered by our own government. But the history, teachers will teach otherwise in school. Oh, it was this particular individual who shot JFK. Did he really? Why? Why would this particular individual? It's our government. Nancy Schaefer was murdered and her husband in their home, and then they said that it was dual suicide, that they killed one another. Yeah. Dual suicide? That don't make no sense. You know why she was murdered? Because she spoke up about the corruption in DHR and human trafficking and how these kids get exploited by the system, the judicial system, and all who cooperate with it. I'm not saying we have something that doesn't have hope, but do your own thinking and stop gossiping and doing things like little monkeys, and then just stop. Do your own research and do your own thinking. But this is not what they want you to do. This is why kids are taught in public school a certain way. I knew of Dr. Martin Luther King, but I did not know Dr. Martin Luther King. I knew of Albert Einstein, but I did not know Albert Einstein. I knew of President Eisenhower, but I did not know President Eisenhower until they came to me. The 5 doves of peace came to me. I saw 3 angels between my bed and the window on Dove Lane. So I say, I volunteered for this job. I sacrificed myself. I'm not afraid to die for what is right. But I'm not out there killing people in the name of God or killing people in the name of Allah. What God wants you to do is to pick up the cross like Jesus did, even though he was innocent. Pick it up so that your children don't have to. But this already happened. The blood was already shed. So why are we sacrificing children? It is against the law of God to be sacrificing children to the god of Molech, which is what we're doing. So, if you want to sacrifice yourself, do so. Sacrifice yourself. Nancy Schaefer did. She spoke up and she was murdered. But there's a time to be here and there's a time to leave. You should not be afraid of dying for what is right. Because those of us who have served in the military, we are willing to die for freedom. So, are you willing to die for freedom so that your children don't have to die? I can be here forever, but I don't have time. But I just want you to think about Jason Vale and his mom and what our government has done to their home. I think it's an invasion of privacy and it's right down illegal. I think that them selling apricot seeds, it's no different than what Amazon is doing and all of these other websites. And the fact that they found this other substance. I mean, if you go into anybody's home, you're going to find a toxic liquid, whether it's gasoline or ammonia or bleach or anything. So, you know, all of these claims that they're doing to target people, it's just right down against our own Constitution. It is a violation of our rights. And I think that we need to be praying for that man, and just watch him. You can see it in his face. He's got his heart out. He wants to help other people overcome cancer naturally, and I don't think he's doing anything illegal. And I think that we need to fight for that cause. How many products do you buy that claim to do something it doesn't do? Or it may. I mean, it may help with wrinkles. It may help with thinning of the hair. It may help, but it may not. So it just depends. I mean, there's a right product for the right person at the right amount through the right route. Everything that we consume, we have to think about the 5 rights of medication. And think about how many of these medications approved by our FDA have actually killed people. And they know it before they put it on the market. They know it. So, think about it. Thank you.